had a good Thursday. This week's gone by pretty quick. Tends to do that a lot more after daylight savings times ends. But anyway, enough about daylight savings time. Yesterday's video, I mentioned the potential storm system coming in around Thanksgiving, Black Friday. That trend definitely looks like it's continuing here, but some interesting stuff is happening. I thought I'd show you because this is kind of throwing that forecast into some uncertainty here. And this is why I always say when things are very far out, don't jump the gun too quickly, because then you can get some crazy model run that just throws everything awry here. And there's a lot of model disagreement going on right now, so we're going to go ahead and get right into that actually. So we'll start out by looking at the GFS here, and we're not going to really go through the entire run here. We're just going to mainly look at the part that we're most concerned about, obviously, which is going to be towards Thanksgiving. We already have a general idea of when our storm system is going to be coming in. That's going to be towards the 22nd. It's going to be working its way through the west by that point. But I want you to note what's going on here. And this is on the GFS run. Keep that in mind. Still got to look at the Euro, so we're gonna be basically doing a comparison here. But on the GFS, we have this feature right here in the southwest, on the subtropical jet here. I did not mean to click that. And then we have this little feature right here that's up towards the northwest, towards the polar jet. This begins to progress through the country. This low right, it almost seems like on the GFS, these two storms are trying to phase. Hard to say whether or not they do. It looks like they do interact a bit. And then the more northerly storm begins to take over. A lot of cold air comes in behind this, and this could become a very gnarly severe weather event and snow event, which would affect a very large swath of people around the eastern half of the country in particular. This also has a neutral tilt and a zonal tilt as well. So this could have a very significant severe weather impact if this were to come to fruition, as well as a huge snowstorm towards the Ohio Valley for Thanksgiving and into Black Friday. Then we move this along. The Northeast looks like it's next in line here before this goes out to sea, and then onward we go from that point. And I keep bumping my mouse, which is causing the soundings to pop up. So that's the GFS. Now let's go ahead and look at the Euro. And this is where things get really difficult. And this is also the 12Z Euro. So I'm somewhat blind here in a way, because the 18Z Euro doesn't go to 240 hours. It only goes to 90. So unfortunately, whenever 18Z GFS pops up around 6-7 o'clock Eastern, I'm left with a 90-hour model instead of a 240-hour model. So this is hard to compare the two sometimes. I would have to wait till like midnight, and then I have to make that video, then get up at work and go to work at 6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, not gonna be too easy for me. So let's go ahead and look at the Euro now. Enough rambling. And it starts out relatively similar. The storm system up north takes a little bit more of a plunge. This storm system just kind of fizzles out a little bit. But here's the interesting part here. This storm system actually starts to become a cutoff low. And if you watched my video, which started my tutorial playlist, and the link to that will be in the top right corner here. But if you look at that video, you'll hear me say that the cutoff low is the weatherman's woe, because this tends to go away from the traditional airflow. That traditional airflow is up here. This is the cutoff low way down here. And look what this ends up doing. It ends up stalling out south of the border, and in turn, we don't get a big dip in the jet stream, and we get a much more subdued weather pattern around Thanksgiving week and weekend, around Thanksgiving Day and then through the weekend. So a lot of confusion going on with the models, but if I were to go ahead and look at something like the GFS, it's showing something entirely different. And while I can't really pull up the Canadian model on here, let me see if I actually can. Nope, it's not on here. But if I were to look up the Canadian model, actually, by chance, it would actually show something identical to the GFS. The GFS and the Canadian usually tend to go hand in hand. There's a little bit more model opportunity on pivotal weather, but I've been having trouble with that over the last few days and today included, so I'm just not going to mess with it on this video. But this is causing for a lot of uncertainty. The confidence that I have in there being a big storm system on Thanksgiving, it's a little bit more up in the air than it was yesterday. I'll put it that way. But in any case, let's go ahead and look at what the radar could look like. Again, keep in mind, like I said, this is going to be a 12Z Euro run versus a 18Z Euro run because we can't see far out enough. Just looking on the GFS on the 18Z, we're still 180 hours out, so we have to practically wait until about midnight my time in order to actually see anything that comes close to being to the Thanksgiving weekend or Thanksgiving holiday in the weekend, so on and so forth. Okay, so here's what we got going on right now. So this is towards the 23rd. Little piece of energy that's floating about around Florida, but things start to really materialize around the morning of the 24th. Have some rain pops up, and then a big storm system starts to develop around the morning of the 25th. And for the most part, the most active weather seems like it's going to be more towards the north side. I don't know if there's enough warm air to really support severe weather like I thought before, according to this. I still think it could be warm enough, and I think will probably change again because this definitely has that kind of look of a cutoff low type system. GFS, of course, is kind of throwing this low pressure here with the airflow, though. So again, these cutoff lows can be really hard to forecast. So this may come down to maybe looking at things about 2 or 3 days from now, even. So all I can do is update you on the changes as they come and see where we go from there. But this is what we got going on with the GFS right now. And then on top of that, that 540 line does dip pretty far south. If there's any moisture that can wrap in behind this could turn into a big snow event towards maybe even the Tennessee Valley here too. So we'll have to watch you guys really close. Any areas further south than that, you're just going to be getting a cold rain, a very damp Thanksgiving from the looks of it. But that's what we have on the GFS. We go to the Euro, and we aren't going to be able to see frozen precip, so we're going to have to just kind of work with this line here. This first blue line here is basically going to be our 32-degree line. So any moisture that you see on the back, like behind this line, you can almost assume that it's going to end up being some type of frozen precipitation. That being said, move this back a bit. So it's towards the 23rd. We move this along, and it's a lot more quiet because the airflow is very different. This storm system that's much further to the north is going to be the real player here, and I don't think it's really going to have any major impacts on any part of the country, to be honest. Maybe towards Maine, but that's about it. It's just going to be lingering pieces of energy that cause a little bit of showers and thunderstorms, but beyond that, nothing of significance going on here. And this is not what any sort of meteorologist wants, because we don't have any real clarity as to what's going on here. So it's going to be an interesting few days to see these next few model runs and how they trend. I saw a model run originally with the Euro having that same cutoff low, but the GFS has not trended with that yet. But it seems like it's trying to trend more towards it. So again, this is why I mentioned before in previous videos as well that when you're looking further out into the future, about 7 days or more especially, you're not looking for a final forecast, you're looking for a trend. And we're seeing a little bit of a trend here, but we're also seeing a lot of discrepancy, a lot of uncertainty. So best thing I can tell you is to stay tuned. Again, I'll be covering this all the way up until the anticipated event, should it happen. If not, then we'll just carry on business as usual. And either way, regardless of whether any major weather were to go down or not, I hope that you guys would have a safe Thanksgiving regardless. But it's enough rambling for me from this video. For this video, you liked what I did in this video, of course, definitely drop a like. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Do you think we're going to get a big snowstorm or severe weather event out of this for Thanksgiving? And of course, subscribe if you haven't already. And that's pretty much it. It's been Metalhead Weatherman. I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good night.